Hi, welcome to CIS Helena. I'm Carrie Jones.
And I'm Shannon Champagne, and our guest today is Ryan Hanaho from the Montana Learning Center. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So you're the executive director, and the Learning Center is located
At 7653 Canyon Ferry Road, just by the dam.
And is that where the little white cabins and stuff are?
Correct. And so the facility was built in 1948, and that was built for the purpose of the engineers and their families before the dam was built.
Oh.
And we've been doing science camps and teacher trainings there since the mid-1980s.
Wow. When I go through there, I've always thought it looked like an alien town or something. So I wondered what was up there.
It's a nice, quaint little town, and we have 15 cottages on 10 acres. It's in partnership. The land is owned by the Bureau of Reclamation. The buildings are owned by the Office of Public Instruction with the state of Montana.
Oh.
And then we're leased the land and the buildings that were originally constructed for that town on 20-year increments.
So it's actually a town. I mean, and the name of it is?
Oh, back in the day, it used to be called Canyon Ferry Village.
Really?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either. Awesome. So some history. So can you tell us a little bit about the camps that you've done this summer, or usually do during the summer?
So, we do science camps for kids. They're STEAM-oriented: science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics.
Okay.
This summer, we offered 20 different camps over an 8-week period, and we have about 330 campers in our programs.
Wow, that's quite a bit. And let's see. You provide scholarships for some. You have scholarships available. Could you let people know how do you qualify?
Yeah, so we do. Typically, it's earlier in the year that you request, and you go onto our website, www.montanalearning.org, go on to look at the camp information, and then under that, it'll tell you how to apply for a scholarship. And generally, a parent or a guardian reaches out to us, describes a need, and then the child writes about a 1 to 2 paragraph essay on why they would like to go to camp.
Oh.
And so we're a small nonprofit, and our scholarship fund is small, and so we're only able to provide partial scholarships at this time. But we try to reach as many kids as we can. This year we're upwards of 20 to 30 kids in the scholarship program.
Great. So being a nonprofit and not having a lot of funds, if there's somebody out there that said, gee, I'd like to sponsor a kid for a camp, how would they do that? Yeah,
they can get a hold of me off of our website, or give us a call or send us an email. So my email is montanalearningcenter@gmail.com or at 406-451-2082.
Awesome. And I know I read that you do a lot of things to encourage like social skills in kids.
And so the camp just isn't mainly science, although that's the learning focus. A lot of our camps, or the majority of our camps, are overnight, and so we're really teaching kids how to interact in an environment that's outside the school setting.
So they stay in the cabins.
They do. So we have 8 dorms on site. Each dorm sleeps 12.
Wow.
And then we also have a dining hall, 4 classrooms, and then our 2 buildings that we own are brand new observatories, and we just opened them in July.
And observatories like with the big telescopes?
Yeah. So we actually have the largest telescope in the state of Montana up there.
Wow.
The previous record holder was Blue Mountain with U of M, and we had our grand celebration this July. So we're excited to get that resource open up for students and teachers in the area.
I bet the kids are enjoying that.
Do you have
it's a blast.
volunteers that come up to the camp?
We do have volunteers. Yeah, we actually had one today. David Lyons is our insurance agent with Payne West, and he was out serving the kids hamburgers at our barbecue for lunch.
Okay.
So how can you volunteer if you wanted to?
Yeah, just reach out to us and we set that up.
Okay.
And typically, we have about a dozen volunteers within our kids camps, in addition to the staff that we hire.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
How many staff do you have?
Depending on the week, it can range anywhere from 15 to 20 staff during the summertime with the kids camps. We like to have a small student-to-teacher ratio because we think that's really key in really good educational programs. And so our student-to-teacher ratio is 1 to 7.
Well, that's good. That's a nice. And where do you get your staff from?
Yeah, and so they're all over Montana. And a lot of our teachers are award-winning teachers, like math and science presidential awardees, or Montana Teachers of the Year, or Science Teachers of the Year. And so in addition to our kids camps, we host teacher trainings, and we also go out to like the MEA days and present there and interact with teachers and through different networks. That allows us to meet teachers across the state and also to bring teachers to us for the summertime to work with our kids.
So outside of the summer program, do you do anything with kids during the rest of the year, or is it just?
So that's a great question. We just got done hosting the NASA Apollo Next Giant Leap Student Challenge, and we worked with 30 schools on that program. And it started in the late winter time and went all the way through until July. And on Sunday, we're going to take our top awarding team to the Johnson Space Center for the week.
And that is?
Oh, it's the Helena Fusion Robotics team.
And where is the Johnson Space Center at?
Houston, Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that'll be a trip.
Yeah. So
so good luck there.
Yeah, thank you. And then I get to turn around, and we were fortunate enough to get enough support to do a special judges award, and we awarded that we had 30 teams overall, and we awarded that to an all Native American team from Browning. And the following week, we're going to take them to the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California with NASA. And that's the agency that builds the rovers that go to the Red Planet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that is really cool.
That's
So,
amazing.
and they're not just learning the social and some fun stuff. I mean, they're really getting into things
They're
up
still
there.
getting
yeah.
an education. Well,
You're going to have some future astronauts. And
Oh yeah,
and
we hope so. I would love
Yeah.
that. So my background is space, and I've always been interested in getting kids interested in science, and so it's a thrill for me and our organization to continue to do that. You know, the MLC was originally named the Canyon Ferry Limnological Institute, and it was started by two Helena area science teachers, Gail and Marilyn Alexander. And it changed over to the Montana Learning Center under Richard Seitz in early 2000s when the Alexanders retired. And I've been with the organization for the past 7 years.
Oh, good. And so during the year, you're a teacher?
Well, I was,
Okay.
but it got to be so much, which is a good problem, that most of my position is supported by NASA. So I left the classroom after this past school year, and I'm full-time with the Learning Center now.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Do you do tours or anything for like the schools or programs so they can come up and just see?
Yeah, we do. We actually have a school program, and they typically we work with Montana Wild, with Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, and schools from out of the area come in, stay at the Learning Center overnight. We have a cooking staff that we bring in, and then during the day they're doing programs around the lake. We're at Montana Wild and Helena, and so that's one aspect of the programming that we help facilitate. We do the science camps for kids, teacher trainings, and then we also do facility rental, and that's part of it, where groups with an educational purpose can come and rent out the Learning Center when we're not doing our own programming.
Oh, really nice. Okay. Do you have things?
not really.
Okay. I read about the girls. Do you tend to do?
Yeah. So fortunately, we had funding for Montana PBS for the all-girls camp this year, and our funders stepped forward, and we're going to do it again next year. So we're thrilled to do that, because it's really important to get girls interested in science and STEM-related careers.
Have you seen a lot more girls in recent years? Or you've been there just for 7, but
Yeah. And so typically our breakdown is 60-40. So 60% males, 40% females, and that number is rising as we offer more girls programs. And in fact, for our NASA competition, our top middle school team was an all-girls team, and so we're thrilled to be taking them to the Kennedy Space Center in November.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
How long has the program, I mean, even maybe back to the Alexanders, how long has it been going?
So when it was CFLI, the Canyon Ferry Limnological Institute, that started in 1984 up at the Canyon Ferry Village area.
And did they do the same kind of STEAM programs, or is it just like?
So they did like similar teaching training programs, and they did also kids camps, but they were more research based. And so many of the houses were set up like laboratories, and the high school students would work with a researcher and do a summer research project and then compete in science fairs.
I heard with STEAM, they build like robots and stuff.
Yeah, and that's actually great. You bring that up. Our NASA challenge was mainly robotic. The kids worked with a drone, and they built a lunar lander to kind of recreate the Apollo 11 lunar mission. And so they took off from their launch area and flew their lunar lander in, landed it on a course, replaced it with a robot that the kids had built and programmed. It ran the course, and then to run a series of challenges, and then we scored the various teams. So we are getting into different robotics aspects. Next year we're going to introduce robotics camps.
Just all by themselves?
And that's actually thanks to partners like NASA and Boeing.
Yeah, oh great.
Yeah, Boeing Helena.
I have people that work there. So what are like some of the other things besides the robotics? I mean, what are the art or?
Yeah, and so we have an art teacher on staff. So next week we're taking our 7th through 9th graders to Yellowstone National Park. They'll be in the park for 5 days, and we have an art teacher too on staff, and they'll work with like different sketching activities. And there's an overlook right above the Grand Prismatic Spring. That's not the one that everyone goes to, but the kids get to go to it. We have a park ranger that's with us, and so the kids are immersed in that environment, observing nature at its best, and then they get to work on their sketching skills. And then we also, like with our astronomy program, we do a high school astronomy camp, and art's a big aspect of that, where the kids learn to sketch what they see through the eyepiece. And we have a 25-inch reflecting telescope. It's the largest public use telescope in Montana. So the kids look through that, and when they're looking through the eyepiece, they learn different sketching techniques and how to draw that. And then I also teach them. So one of our colleagues teaches them how to draw it. I teach them how to photograph it.
Oh, I was going to wonder if you did photographs of stuff. That's cool. What about like math? Is math just integrated into all of them, or is there like a math camp?
Well, we this summer we had a math camp that we hosted with the State of Montana Office of Public Instruction, and through the University of Montana, 30 math teachers came and were immersed at the at our unique lakeside environment in different math challenges throughout the weekend. And so we do all sorts of programming, and although we like to emphasize the STEAM approach, our main programming is in science, engineering, and math.
I know I always liked math, and I was like the nerd, but now it's like a cool
but it's
thing.
like in our biology camp.
I liked art
Yeah.
as a kid.
And so we do a CSI camp, so crime scene investigation. So the kids are doing like population dynamics in terms of crime scene and counting up the different artifacts that they're seeing. And so or in biology camp when they're doing water quality sampling, you'll look at the little Daphnia, which are microscopic, and then count those up, and then that'll help tell you how your water quality is.
So do you do any of the camps other than teachers for adults?
So we have our camps for kids, our camps for teachers, and we are introducing adult ed programming. And specifically, we started with our observatory program, which just kicked off in July. And actually this weekend, August 3rd, we're going to have a star party. It's free and open to the public, and it's part of our series of 4 star parties held this fall or late summer.
All right, so this Saturday.
This Saturday, it'll start at 10 o'clock.
Okay, at night or
Where
Yeah,
is
at
it?
night.
10 o'clock
It's a
at
star
night?
party. You gotta look up and look at the night sky. You'll see galaxies and nebulas and planets, and so it'll
Great.
be a fun time.
Where's that at?
Up at the Montana Learning Center.
Okay.
So our observatories are on the peninsula of the property overlooking the lake.
Okay.
Oh.
Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
Thank you so much for hosting us.
Thank
You know, it's really a privilege for us to be here. I really am happy that you guys are excited to feature a nonprofit. So thank you for the opportunity. Do you guys have any questions? Any other questions for me at all?
No, I think that's
No.
great. It sounds wonderful, and maybe when you start more adult stuff, I'll come out and do something.
Yeah,
So,
you bet.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks for joining us on CAS Helena.
Thank you.